Good afternoon to everybody. I hope the technical session, as it will kick in with this first session, you would understand the necessity of today's, conference much more than what it was discussed upon during the inaugural session. Inaugural session tried to delve into a lot of issues uh, at the skinny level or the peripheral or epithelial level. Right now, we will be going deep into and we'll start discussion. But before that, I would just like to put some points upon the table so that we can start pondering on that. If you go through the topic of today's discussion, it is sustainable transportation solutions for India's evolving urban planning. And electric mobility adoption is one of the such solutions. That is what this topic actually tells us about. If you really look onto the topic very closely, you would understand that each one of the words has a deeper meaning and the deeper sense associated with it on which we need to actually start discussion. Otherwise, we might not reach to the desired level. That is one of the solutions being the electric mobility adoption. So the topic says that electric mobility adoption is one of the sustainable transportation solutions for India's evolving urban planning. So this is the topic today. So first of all, sustainability. When we talk about sustainability, we actually think that the organization which is running the system should remain sustainable. That means it will generate its own revenue in order to sustain that. But often we do not take into account the disruption happening around the entire ecosystem. The Industry 4.0 brought disruption at every level. We didn't ever think that hydrogen fuel could become the cheapest solutions in the next 15 years. Because today, the cost of hydrogen fuel is much, much more, and the cost of the vehicle running on hydrogen fuel is abnormally high. So even if you want to actually utilize or use hydrogen fuel vehicle, you cannot. So the first word of sustainability not only talks about how to make the entire system work, generate its own revenue, and go on increasing the scale. That means because the population will not stop and we need to actually increase our fleet, as the Transport Corporation is doing by adding around 1,200 new fleet this year. So the next question is how to remain sustainable. Next is India's evolving urban planning. Why? If you really look into the urban planning, the organization called MOHUA, the Ministry of Urban Housing Agency. So the urban housing planning does not limit itself to only the structure of a building, structure of a road, structure of associated things. It also looks onto the street infrastructure. Let me tell you what is a street infrastructure. Street infrastructure is, or street furniture for that matter, is that which we look at every now and then. That means the electric poles, they are street furnitures. The overpass, people taking a overpass, crossing a road, is a street furniture or a street infrastructure. The signboards are street furnitures and street infrastructures, and they are critical to both this transportation system and urban planning. Why? Because these will be holding the new generation 5G communication and telecommunication devices. And these will be micro and macro sizes. Right now, you have a tall base tower station for a radius of 2 kilometers around it to communicate from one mobile tower to another mobile tower. When you go and pass, your communication does not get broken often, or most of the time. Sometimes it happens. So because the nearest mobile tower is picking you up, continuing the talk or communication, and as you pass on, the next mobile tower picks it up. Come to 5G communication devices. They are at eyesight. That means you are connected through direct line of sight, and they are differentiated or or at a gap of only 200 meters. So the entire city or the country or the state is actually gridded with a 200 by 200 grid, 200 meter by 200 meter grid. And in this 200 meter by 200 meter grid, we are putting up the street infrastructure or street furnitures. I was talking to Mr. Devashish Banerjee, the MD of CESC, and I was telling him that after seeing the map, I really got astonished that in Kolkata, we have more than 17 and on average 17.56 street infrastructure or street furniture, and most of them are CESC poles. And they are stable, they are long-standing, they withstand. Why I am talking about that? Because they will be holding the micro and macro communication devices, which will be actually collecting data and passing on to the vehicles and the vehicle management system in the city for a better transport management. When you are going to, Howrah station for that matter, and you understand there is a clog, the data will be collected and sent to the vehicle, and vehicle will actually take a detour to pick up a secondary route. And not only that, it will go on leaving its passengers at vantage points from which other vehicles will be collecting them and dropping them at their destined location, and without losing much of time. My dear friends, it is called city-based transport management system. Welcome to a new system. And that is the marriage between transportation, facilitation, communication facilitation, and aggregator facilitation. That means the Department of Telecommunication, that means the Transport Corporation and the Department of Transport, that means the aggregators of startups, MSMEs, and industry like Delta, all of them coming together. So, this is the future that we are looking at. With these points before you on your table, let me, start by requesting our good friend from our very, close to heart neighboring country, Nepal, Honorable Consul General. Sir, we would like to know that considering the hilly terrain of Nepal, one, and accessibility and inaccessibility is a basic prerequisite for any transportation mechanism to happen. And what is your thinking for the future for having a sustainable growth model for transportation you are looking at in your country?
Namaskar. Thank you, Sanjay sir, for opening up this session and then highlighting the key framework of the panel discussion that you presented quite deliberately. That's what that was highly impressive. But I have to apologize that my presentation will be a little bit deviated because I'm from Nepal. It's because of that I have some sort of flexibility to move towards Nepal and then Calcutta, and then it's very much like that. It may not be that much realistic what you are willing to listen from me, but maybe I will try to cover. Sir, thank you. I have to express my sincere honor to Honorable State Minister being together with us, and then the high protocols from Government of West Bengal, uh, distinguished panelists, and all the distinguished participants from different sector of the transport representing India. So I'm here to share some of the experience how Nepal's transport sector is functioning. First, I would like to open up to show you the picture like that. Normally, government of Nepal is focusing on developing roads, the highways, especially the terrains. Being the Himalayan and mountainous country, it's very difficult to develop the roads also. Making the highways, roads, and private individual, the person or the companies, they operate the buses or the taxis. The means of transport are being operated mainly from the private parties in Nepal. So it's a little bit different than in India compared to Nepal's case. Because I have seen that in India, government is directly involved to operate the transport services as the public corporations or the entities like that. We have, but very limited and very nominal type of the practice. That was in the history, we were doing a little bit better, but these days it's gone down because of the sustainability issue as well. They could not sustain in that way. We have had the trolley bus that was there. I used to go to the college, university. During my university days, I was using the trolley bus, but there is no more. My children, they cannot see the trolley bus in Kathmandu these days. That is not there. The government involves in the registration, regulation, route permit, renewal, and then the policy is there for subsidy on tax and customs and fare limit as well. I mean, the route and the fare from this to that particular point, what will be the rate, tariff rate for each and every passengers to pay. Government makes the notices, and accordingly, it has been regulated in that way. And legal provisions for competitive market, legal provisions also that is there, the government is liable for that. And the quality of the service is always questioned because private sector is also doing their business, but that is not that much competitive compared to the standard of the age right now. And there is one very unique model, cooperative model also in Nepal. We have cooperative model, Saja Bus Company, we used to say. And they operate, cooperative operates the buses, public transport system in Kathmandu also. But if you count the percentage, it's less than 5 to 10, I think in between 5 to 10% only the coverage for that. The passengers turnover, rest 90+% is being operated by the private parties, as I mentioned that. So cooperative model is also there. And government has recently trying to develop the dedicated lane service for the fast movement in the capital city Kathmandu for the passenger buses. Up to 15 to 20 kilometers distance. It is the starting. I have to highlight that Nepal's transport sector is the big market destination for India. Because most of the buses, most of the trucks, taxis, and the cars, those are produced in India and those are being used in Nepal. So that is what the technology, all the auto mechanical type of the whatever the engineering adopted here, developed here, we will get the benefit definitely. So this is the market scenario, sir. Right. So it's like almost passenger vehicles. You can say The buses, it's like 90-95%. Those are manufactured, produced in India. You can find every product. So that is there. And the taxis, the cars, private cars also. And nowadays, as we were having during the coffee break, madam was highlighting that the EV, we can see the number of the EV that is going up. The same is happening in Nepal as well. Government of Nepal has given the subsidies to import EVs, but it's quite challenging for being the government officer. What I have to say that it's very challenging for our treasury as well, because government is losing double. You see, the consumption of the fuel that has gone down. That means the high tariff was there for customs duty, was there for the petrol, diesel, and all these the oil products. Number one, government is losing. And then government is giving direct subsidy for the customs duty and the tariffs while importing the cars. But the petrol or the diesel operated cars, you have 250+ % of the customs duty in Nepal. That's very high. If you pay 10 lakh here, that becomes almost 50 lakh in Nepal. So it's a little bit different. And government is losing from both sides. So it's quite challenging. But now what happened? Within these 2 to 3 years, the revenue has gone down in the history for the first time. So that is what the government is trying to explore some sustainable way of handling all these issues as well. So that is there. And we have one better example also. We have the tourist bus services. Those are operated by the private parties, private entrepreneurs, tourist entrepreneurs. They do have green number plates because as per the registration system, they get the green number plates. That it doesn't mean that those are EV. They are operated by them, but those are found much more comfortable, convenient, and better than other bus services from the private parties because of the tourism policy in Nepal as well. Because tourism is one of the prominent sector for Nepal's economy as well. So it's because of that. They also get the exemption for the customs, duties, and all the things for that. While importing the buses even from India, they get lots of subsidies for that. So it is because of that they are providing better services. Let's come back to Kolkata. My observations, when I came here 3 years back, the days were very critical. Pandemic, everywhere lockdown, and the city was almost pin drop silence. It was very much like that. The environment was like that. And gradually, the lockdown and all the restrictions were lifted up, and the movement of the traffic that has gone up, that was gradually increasing up. My observation is, we have the pollution in Kathmandu also, but Kolkata is a little bit higher, in pollution compared to. We have dust particles pollution in Kathmandu. Kolkata, here what I have seen is that the vehicles pollution. My location, that is in Alipur, that is in the section of Diamond Harbour Road and the National Library Avenue, the corner, 24 hours, it's a busy street over there. And I can see it's a port-led economy as well. Kolkata, it's a port-led economy. Everywhere you see within the city, it's nowadays, the new Kolkata is being built. As Sir was rightly highlighting that one, the urban street planning and the urban transport system and things like that. It's old Calcutta, it's very difficult. That's how I also have the observation. And the tram, which is quite historical, I also saw that when coming here to join as the Consul General, one of my colleague, who was one of my friend in Indian Embassy in Kathmandu, he was sharing me, we have the oldest, very oldest, even before, it was built before Europe's tram line, I think. So he was sharing me that one, that's a glory in Calcutta. So I observed that one, the tram line, historical. It's but very hard to maintain. We had that trolley bus. I still remember those days. So that is there. And the best thing is, in India, in Bengal and in India, the government is directly engaged in the most fundamental need of the society, which shows the government's accountability to its citizen through the transport sector management. Because we don't have like that. So I have to appreciate for the government intervention for that. I don't know. It's very hard to maintain. I know very well, but private sector is emerging in India. It's a private sector is very strong in India as well, and the competency is very strong. They can deliver even much better than that. So government has to think about some sort of innovations for that also, I think. Definitely, Sir was highlighting that the technology and now the innovations, those are going on. And compared to the IT sector, you are also doing the marvelous achievements for that. So those will definitely contribute for the transport sector also. And the electric buses, I can see very frequently moving in the street, carrying passengers. However, those are a little bit expensive. Compared to the non-AC buses in Calcutta, AC buses are, I used to ask with my driver also, do you use the AC buses and the non-AC buses? Sir, AC buses are expensive. He used to say me because he is from Bengal. So that is the experience I gain. So one of the impression I get, the handful rickshaws also, the colonial treasure that is there, which is quite impressive for us. I saw the same in Japan also, in Tokyo. During the very special ceremony, they used to have the celebration by having such a practice of handful rickshaws that is there. One of in the transport sector, since I was the CEO of Kathmandu Metropolitan City 6 years back, I started one initiative that was no horn. The primary difference, what I found is, horn is everywhere in Calcutta, sir. So we can do it because I started that campaign and then it was almost successful. In Calcutta, in Kathmandu, the roads are, you do have innumerable bends and then up and down. Again, it became so successful. Now, if you travel to Kathmandu, you will listen it. You can hear the noise like that, but very, very rare. People are used to beep, just very short, very brief. But here, the only thing I miss Kathmandu is that one. So let's please think that one also, sir. So the city will be really better place to live for all its citizens.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that is what, and for sustainability, the issues and all the things, as I highlighted, definitely for the government doing business, it's not the business, it's providing the services. So that is why this is not the profit-making business. So this is very hard to sustain. So the government has definitely thought in that way, government, the authorities. But so I have to appreciate for your initiatives for that also. And finally, I want to say, to contribute your system for sustainability matters, EV, Worldwide, it's becoming popular. Some of the countries, they have already declared that within the year, within this time frame, we will eliminate all the biofuel, the vehicles from their country. That has already been declared. So I would like to share one of the happiest news. Government of India, 3 to 4 days back, has made the decision from its cabinet. Government of India will have the import of 10,000 plus megawatt of the hydroelectricity from Nepal within 10 years time frame. So that is quite good news for Bengal, for whole India also. We have tremendous potentiality for the hydropower production, and then the government, both the government have realized the partnership for that, and the private sector is venturing for that from India as well to have the investment for the production of the hydropower in Nepal. So that will definitely contribute for the sustainability matters also. I used to travel to Haldia, from Calcutta to Haldia. I can see Kolaghat, from where the big plant, the thermal plant is there. You see what happens from mining to the supply chain, railway lines, and then the labor intensive, the job to handle that power plant, how much cumbersome it will be. So that will definitely contribute for your dream to be sustainable in the transport sector as well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Honorable Consul General, we are really delighted to have you amongst us. And let me tell you, sir, another very good thing that has happened of late in our country and especially in our state. Suvidha has happened. What is Suvidha? Suvidha is an enabler. It is a portal. It is a facilitation website. If you just go into your browser and type SUVIDHA, you will get that all these 8 international checkpoints that we have with our neighboring countries, with Nepal, with Bhutan, with Bangladesh. At those checkpoints, all commercial vehicles as well as normal domestic individual vehicles, they ply. For the commercial vehicles, most of those vehicles are taking perishable items from India to the neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Bhutan and Nepal, like fruits, vegetables and many things. And they used to perish because at those international checkposts, they often used to stand or stay for around 40 days. 40 days, 40. And from those 40 days, that has come down to 14 hours. Why? Because using this Suvidha, anybody can actually book a slot. With verifying one's vehicle, driver, its registration, everything is verified back-ended. You need not provide anything. We have 13 APIs with Vahan, Sarathi, GST, income tax, then Aadhaar. 13 verifications are done back-end. So if you are a businessman, you log into our system, you verify yourself, and you say that I am taking a perishable good to Nepal. So we will give you a slot on a destined date. You take your vehicle and stand in the queue. The maximum time is 14 hours. 14 hours, and any day you can go to any of these 8 checkposts, and you will find not more than 1 or 2 hours. The greatest example is Petrapol, where we have thousands and thousands vehicle passing to Bangladesh. Earlier, it used to be 123 days. And now, it is less than 1 hour. Even your fees for Land Port Authority, for the BSF, for the other, requirements, that means the state government, or are accepted in a single mode and sent at the back end to respective things. And this Suvidha facilitation has won the National E-Governance Gold Award this year, for your information. So I hope that actually calls for an applause. So, and this entire thing has been developed in-house by IT and DD department. So it is completely internal, and we are extending this facility to all the checkpoints, interstate checkpoints across the country. And we will be happy if the same thing is also used by all our neighboring countries. Like we have already approached Bangladesh. Here, sir is here. So I'll go back and definitely send sir an invitation whether their country would like to accept and do it with others. So because this facilitation is very simple but actually digitally transformed. So this is a sustainable model. Why? Because it generates revenue and costs you nearly zero. So whatever minimum fees that government and every organization is collecting is going directly into the benefit of the people at large. So now let me come down to Mr. Pankaj. He is the director of Delta. Mr. Pankaj, I was thinking of talking about CAS and BAS. That means charging as a service and battery as a service. I don't know how many of you know that it is getting very popular, that swapping batteries. Like Honeywell and others, they have come up with beautiful solutions of swapping batteries. What is swapping batteries? You don't have time to charge your vehicle. You go to that station, you give your battery and take another battery. And you need not buy it. You are giving it or taking it on a rent. So you do not own the battery anymore. You are continuously changing the battery. So even if you have, and at the back end, these batteries are also once charged, it takes only 3 to 5 minutes to charge it. There is a fast charger as a service. So charging as a service, I went to Surat, I attended 2172 there. I found out extremely good solutions, coming out by entrepreneurs, specifically the startups and MSMEs for this charging as a service and this swapping battery as a service. So, Mr. Pankaj, I would just like to ask you, how do you see the country progressing, and why Bengal, as we are very connected to our own things, we do not want to actually exchange batteries because we own things. We do not want to share it with others. So, how to actually top it over with some sort of mechanism that you are envisaging, and how you can actually handhold with Transport Corporation Limited, Webel, and other organizations providing services on behalf of the government to the people, so that such type of facilities are becoming more and more rave and people do adapt and change over to electric vehicles. I hope I am clear on that point.
A good question, Mr. Das. In India, this EV charging sector has evolved over a period of years, and it's still evolving, and it will keep evolving, as we go. So, the battery swapping solution, of course, Delta is having battery swapping solutions all across the world. And in India also, few companies are coming up with this battery swapping solution for their own manufactured vehicles. But as you asked, how do we, popularize it and, spread it across the masses? As sir said, there are some rickshaws in the city which are plying with either with the diesel-operated IC engines or some other mode of non-renewable power systems. So these are the first small doable things that can be shifted to battery swapping stations. Yeah.
In Kolkata, there is no non-battery rickshaw.
Okay. Hand cart rickshaw. Okay.
That is also, can say it is physically challenged,
Right.
but that is environment friendly.
Right. It is environment friendly. So if we want to transition those hand pulled carts into a mechanical automatic.
It is happening.
Yes.
Rather than that, we need to actually understand how this Toto, that means e-rickshaw,
Yeah.
could be actually utilizing those swapping batteries.
So how it works is, there are charge point operators who set up charging infrastructure. We enable them by giving the solutions from Delta side, because we are the OEMs for manufacturing of the chargers, be it the conventional chargers or battery swapping chargers. So we enable them to get the solutions, and it can be those charge point operators would put the infrastructure in different cities. So how it works is, whether you put the charging infra first, or you get the vehicles which adopt the charging, these battery swapping stations. It has to run in parallel. It cannot be chicken and egg, this first or that first.
You have the great benefit of talking before Honorable Minister sitting here,
Right.
and he is from the South Calcutta, which is a very very populated area. This Behala, Joka, all of these are very highly populated, thickly populated. And there people are moving. Actually, every day new people are shifting there because infrastructure is coming up, residential complexes, beautiful residential complexes are coming up.
Right.
Metro is going to that place. It is getting extended. Beautiful things are happening to our city. So Honorable Minister is here. He will definitely take a note of what you are saying, that there, through him, we can offer to the young masses and youths this facility of battery charging, because this Toto and this e-rickshaw is a necessity right now in the internal places of Kolkata's, because old age people, they definitely and fondly use that, because everyone has a mobile phone calling him, please chole esho, amake niye jao to hospital, to doctors and all. So these Toto and e-rickshaws are very necessary. Sir, what Mr. Pankaj is saying, that we can very well utilize these youths, এই মানে ছেলেদেরকে মানে ব্যবহার করে তাদের ছোট ছোট জায়গায় যদি এই ধরনের ব্যাটারি রাখা যায়, যে তারা নিজেরা ব্যাকএন্ডে সাপ্লাই করবে, যে টোটোটার ব্যাটারি শেষ হয়ে আসছে, সে নিজের ব্যাটারিটা তাকে দিয়ে অন্য একটা ব্যাটারি নিয়ে চলতে শুরু করবে, ফলে তাকে বাড়ি যেতে হবে না। বিকজ স্যার पंकज जी, क्या होता है यहाँ ये जगह में ऐसे एक जगह की इतनी डिमांड है, इतना प्रीशियस है, तो वो दूसरा कोई कामों में इस्तेमाल करेगा, वो चार्जिंग स्टेशन के लिए नहीं करेगा, बिकॉज वो दूसरा अगर कोई दुकान खोल दे, उसका टर्न अराउंड एंड दिस थिंग इज मच मोर। तो इसीलिए क्या होते हैं, ये रिक्शा जो है वो फिर से अपने घर चले जाते हैं, वो जाकर के चार्ज करके वापस आते हैं, एंड दे आर लूजिंग लॉट ऑफ वैल्यू एंड इनकम इन इट। ठीक बोलছি তো স্যার? সো উই ক্যান স্যার থ্রু দ্যাট, আপনি যদি একটুখানি উদ্যোগ নেন, এনাদের মতো যারা আছে তাদেরকে আরো ভাস্টলি করে ট্রেন করে আমাদের বাচ্চাদেরকে, পরের প্রজন্মকে আমরা এই ধরনের ব্যাটারি সোয়াপিং সেন্টার স্যার করতে পারি। আপনি যদি
নিশ্চিত আমরা আলোচনা করে
স্যার,
এখন চলছে টোটো, রিক্সা, মানে বিভিন্ন এগুলো, এবার আলোচনা করা আরো বড় এরিয়া,
ব্যাটারি বদলালে ওদের কাজ করতে অনেক সুবিধা,
জায়গা অনুযায়ী কিছু দোকান বা কোনো চার্জিং জায়গায় রাখতে হবে
যদি করা যায়। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
ओके
Thank you.
So Pankaj ji, आप समझ ही रहे हैं, your business is getting extended here.
Thank you so much.
Across the country. So I would come to my colleague in the Transport Corporation, the Chief Engineer, sir. Sir, how are you thinking about actually making your fleet sustainable, specifically? Because the cost, as Honorable Consul General was talking, that cost of these AC buses, the fare is pretty high. So in order to, because it has to be so, because the cost of running the fleet, maintaining it is obnoxiously high. So how are you thinking of actually bringing revenue, making it affordable, at the same time expanding the fleet? Because this is the greatest challenge, that as an engineer you need to solve this puzzle. If you, sir, can kindly throw some light on it.
Honorable Minister, sir, learned moderator and other panelists, distinguished guests. here we have a typical problem that we need to have the fares in an affordable place and vis-a-vis give a good service. Yes, it's a big challenge. Now, running AC and non-AC buses, everybody will appreciate that the cost involvement or the cost input for running an AC bus is much more than that of a non-AC bus. Now, as per as our government directives, we need to keep the fare of non-AC buses at the lowest affordable position. Now, the AC buses fare should be kept at a higher level just to accommodate a cross-subsidization system so that the Transport Corporation also sustains the other costs that it has to bear. So this is one part. And the other part is that we, for electric vehicles, till date we are having only AC buses. But in our future ventures, we are going to induct a lot of non-AC electric vehicles also. So that mostly those people who are unable to board the AC buses due to these fare conditions, they also can avail the electric vehicles. And furthermore, to keep our electric vehicle project sustainable, we are also thinking of having some charging facility utilizing the solar power. We are in a process of discussion for installing some solar panels within our depots. We already have a lot of depots. The sheds are already over there. So that may be off-grid or on-grid. That is still under consideration. But very soon we will have some solar-powered charging facilities. So it will further reduce our input cost burden, so that we can keep the basic fares at a minimum affordable level.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a beautiful insight. I would just like to add that West Bengal government has been always very proactive and responsive to people's need. Of late, we have understood that this Uber, this Ola syndrome, all these things, they have a flip side to it. That means if it is 12 o'clock midnight, the cost is high. If it is raining cats and dogs, the cost is high. If there is a demand on Ashtami or Shaptami, the cost is high. So government has been actually thinking deep into it, and with the collaboration between the Transport Department and Department of Information Technology and Electronics, with support of Kolkata Police, Yatri Shathi is a new app. To all my friends here, please download Yatri Shathi. Yatri Shathi is an app where using this, you would get AC and non-AC taxis, your iconic yellow taxis included, at a throwaway price. That means there is no charge, no commission, no middleman's charge. So there is no aggregation. It's a completely end-to-end solution, just like your other app, Ola and Uber. And this is from the coffers and the coffers of the government of West Bengal, from Transport Department, from IT and police, taken together. And most of these, these taxis which are coming into this Yatri Shathi getting registers, you would be astonished that around 30% or around more than that, all the drivers are women folks. And not only that, government is also looking earnestly into it in long period of time, how these drivers could be made into the owners themselves. Because there are beautiful, support that government of West Bengal gives to support through loans and other services from Transport Department, from Employment Department, to actually enable youths and others, professions to own their own vehicles and all. So that is another enablement, and with the help of Transport Department is becoming a reality. So I would just add before ending this thing that we can also think of non-grid utilization of solar power. We can think of putting solar panels on top of our buses. We can think of putting, low carbonate solar panels across the windows of our AC buses, as we are actually putting across all the windows of our state data center. Because in state data center, you need not see outside from inside, need not see inside from outside. So all these, these windows of our state data center are actually getting converted into low carbonate solar panels, so that the state data center, which is very, very, it is gulping electricity. It actually gulps. So we are, without giving directly into the feed or the grid, we are actually utilizing that as a direct source. With that, I would just like to end our session by extending my earnest thanks and gratitude to Honorable Consul General from Nepal, our dear neighboring country, my colleague here from Transport Corporation, and my very dear friend from Delta, all of you here, and my deep regards and respect to the Honorable Minister here today with us. Thank you so much. God bless you.